Welcome to the Sultans of Spine podcast. I'm your host, Jamil Pendleton. I'm so excited that you tuned in today because today you get to meet the great Traci. I met Traci a long time ago, 2009. And so math tells me that's over a decade ago. And Traci, and I'll let you introduce yourself here in a minute, but you were an Army brat. You grew up, you were born in Japan, which I don't think until I prepared for this episode, I didn't even know that about you. Very interested in there. It's one of the most beautiful, amazing countries I've ever been. You moved around like a lot of Army families every few years of your life. Graduated and left for the Army, basic training at Fort Leonard, and then combat medic, surgical assistant, training in San Antonio. You were one of the exclusive members of the Walter Reed spine team, right, with surgeons like Dr. Pauly and Dr. Kuklo. Incredible stuff in the military. And so thank you so much for your service. It's just one of the many things that I love about you is your dedication to this country. And,
thank you, John. Thanks.
You know, I've seen your path, and I think that maybe it's better told by you, but you transitioned from the scrub tech environment to the sales side. And what's interesting about that is in this time where now there's a lot of people trying to get in and break into this world, some of the best to ever do it, we're already getting that clinical expertise, in the hospital setting. So like Scott Newcastle, who taught me from green to a little bit dangerous, and then you and who taught me a lot more when I came to Austin and joined Medtronic. And so, look, I thank you so much for joining. Again, if you've seen this Sultans of Spine podcast, you know that there's not really like a strict format, Traci, that we need to follow. You know, there's a few things that I sent you ahead of time, and I'd love to ask those questions. But without further ado, thank you so much. And thank you for your dedication to Medtronic. February will be 14 years, which is amazing and incredible in the sales world. So thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Look, I kind of like that things have been flowing so well, right? It doesn't always have to be so scripted. I mean, you kind of gauge the experience and gauge the conversation. So far, it's been great, Jay. So I really feel honored to be on, and thank you for asking me to come on. You kind of just explained a lot of my, coming into the sales side. I mean, clinical, it's one of the things that I am a firm believer in. I mean, whether you're in sales or not, I mean, you have got to have that clinical mindset. I mean, first and foremost, the patient comes first, right? And that comes always, whether it's sales, clinical, anything. So, I mean, that mindset is something that, no matter what side you're on, needs to take precedence, right? So, I mean, I think that being on the clinical side, it really kind of helps that more and kind of makes you more sort of realize that you're a part of the team, right? You're not just there to sell something. You're a part of the solution, right? I mean, that's one of the great things that Medtronic, fosters, not just as a company and an organization, but just in us individually. And I think that that's so important, in the clinical side, really, in my opinion, kind of breeds that at an early, stage.
You showed,
yeah.
From day one, I was, and I mentioned this on another podcast episode, I believe, Monty's, that I saw early on the value of a rep through what you did. And it's not as much, it honestly sometimes did not have much to do at all about the solutions that we bring from our company, but it was more so your servant leadership, your value to the nursing or to anyone in that room. It's again, we talk about the ecosystem a lot, and our goal is to improve patient care, and our goal is to help that surgery go well. And you showed me a whole new way to do that, just in a different approach. And where did you learn that? Is that something that when you were a scrub tech, you saw the reps and you were like, hey, I'm not going to do that, or hey, that's something? I mean, where did that develop for you?
That's a good question. I think it came with watching a lot of different folks in the room and seeing what not to do and what to do for sure.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
you can see a lot of like, ooh, don't say that, don't do that.
Yeah.
Note to self, right? Check.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's really just, and I love, Monty said it best. I mean, and I've always said this, it really is like, it's almost like a dance, or it's like an orchestra, you know, you sit there and you watch, everybody's so valuable in that room or not,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, some people
Right.
sit on their phone up against the wall, don't contribute at all. So don't do that. Note to self,
No.
right? Like, be a part of the team. I mean, it goes from everything from, gosh, the trash bags overflowing, the nurses
Yep.
charting, she's running for drugs that, you know, I'm in the rep in the room. There's no reason I can't bag a trash for them, you know?
Just
So
do
like
it.
little things, you know, moving a pedal because the nurse is like calling in labs and doing all this. I mean, so many people are so busy in that OR, and one person's not more important than the other. You know, I mean, it's really a team effort. And so I think if you kind of go into that and observe and watch, it's the best thing you can do, observe and watch.
100%.
You will start to see where you can provide value and where you can just simply serve and help. I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? Is how can we help, you know?
It's exactly so true. It's simple, but it's difficult to do, right? It's simple, but it's not always done because you have it. And let's be honest, we're there to serve a purpose. You know, this is our job. This is how you feed your family, right? So, but I think that the good ones, the great ones, realize that there's a difference in those subtleties, and that's where you shine. And also the other thing, it's almost like let's say somebody's going through a tough time, like somebody's you know, loss of a family member, or even a joyous event like a pregnancy with twins, and these parents are just drowning in diapers. You know, it's not so much, hey, what do you need? Anything you need, let me know. It's like, hey, what time works for you? I'm going to come bring a casserole. And it's really just, it's a weird analogy, but my point is, it's just, you just go right to the help. You know that trash is overflowing, and eventually someone needs to take it out, or someone needs to just do that, so that when they are opening things in sterile technique, when there are times in the surgery where speed is important, right? You know, implant, whatever it is, that the trash isn't overflowing at that time. It's the little subtle things that make you so special. And no doubt in my mind, Traci, that's why you've been successful for 14 plus years.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
those little
that.
things.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think you definitely nailed it. It is the little things, right? And paying attention to those little things are so important. Yeah, yeah.
And so, do you think that that's what's helped you build relationships? I mean, throughout your career.
I mean,
how have you done that?
I mean, I'd like to think so. I mean, I think it's really just recognizing, like, I see you, right? I see you're busy. I see you need help. Like, and you know, that's also a very fine walk with some people as well. So it's really kind of learning the individual, learning the room, learning the environment, because you and I both know that sometimes when you're in an environment where everybody wants to shine, everybody wants to show that they can do it all and be of value, you might come across as stepping on some people's toes, right? Like, I got this. Like, you don't have to do this for me, kind of thing, right?
Right.
So there's some of that too, and I think it's recognizing and being a little intuitive, reading and understanding people and their personalities and what they like and maybe what they don't like. You know, there's often times where, you know, when we have to go into a lot of accounts, never stepped foot in there before, first time working with these nurses, techs, doctors. I mean, I kind of go in there with the mindset of like, y'all know this room and this surgeon and this environment far more than I do. I'm really just here to help in any way I can. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he likes this handle over this handle. If you know he likes this, you pull out whatever you know he likes, and I'm just here to help, versus, oh, he's going to want this, or she's going to want this. She's going to, because it already comes off as like, oh, you know them, huh? You know them, you know? Yeah. So I think it's kind of reading some of that in environments and individuals and situations that I think, you know, I'd like to hope that it makes people feel like I'm not coming there to take over anything, to change anything, to step on any toes. I'm really simply there to be a team member and to help and provide solutions, backup plans, you know?
at what point, thank you for that. And I want to take a step back to one of the things I mentioned in your intro. You know, you were a scrub tech, you did a lot of great things, you know, a great career there. And we've both known and worked with some great scrub techs here in Central Texas, but they're the unsung heroes, right?
Right.
And so at what point did you think, or did that transition, you know, materialize in your mind of that you could do sales, which is definitely a different muscle?
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting because I think for a while I was offered and asked and just avoided it because my mindset of what sales was is not at all what I'm currently doing, right? So, and I think that's like a common thing when, like, you know, you talk with Toby and all these are like,
I know, we want to be a lawyer.
This is what it
never
was.
knew that.
Like, no
I
idea.
didn't know
I was a scrub tech, so I know I saw these sales reps. But in my mind, I was like, no, I can't do that. And it took a while before someone here locally was like, you know what, I think you might need to really evaluate what you think the sales side is on this. He goes, because to be honest with you, you know this more than any spine rep I've ever worked with, including myself, you know, like he's like, I really think you have in your mind that it's going to be something different. And he's like, and you are so clinically proficient in spines in particular, because that was just my baby. I realized at a very early age that, and I think I mentioned this to you, that like money is not everything, right? I mean, happiness means more. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'll give it a thought and I'll think about it. And had a couple phone calls and, you know, kind of really laid it out. And I was like, you know what, I'll give it a try. And, and I've never looked back.
So glad you did.
Yeah.
Sorry. You had a big impact on me in my career.
Thanks, Jay.
And you still do.
That.
No, absolutely. I love every moment we spend together is valuable to me. Always, you know, your email signature with the Emerson quote, you've got like just such a, I mean, I love the way you approach things. You're intentional about what you do, whether it be the relationship with your kids and your family, the relationship with your work family. You know, you always did such a great job of leading that team in terms of, you know, the team approach to growing business, right? Which is a unique one. There's so much of the individualism of sales. And so it's just like me, but yet you completely you go the other way and it's team. And there's no I in team, right? We know that.
Yeah.
Is that something that maybe you learned growing up or in the Army, or where does that come from? I think
that definitely was the foundation for me, right? I mean, you know, you kind of briefly touched on it. I was an Army brat. So my dad was, you know, retired Army, did a lot of things I don't know because he was military intelligence. You know, it kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but he was military intelligence for the longest time. And I have like no idea what he did, nor did my mom for 17 years.
Right.
But I mean, it was such a foundation of like, even, you know, going to something as simple as like, I moved every 3 to 4 years of my life. Right. And I have a sibling, I have a brother, and it was literally just my mom, my dad, me, and my brother. And it was really established well on, we're in this together. There's no just you or him or me, or it is us. And we are all uprooting, leaving, not knowing anyone, going to a new world, new country, new state, you know? And so it really was the foundation, and still to this day is, with as our family grows and grandchildren and children and all this, not my grandchildren, but my parents, that it's like, this is a family. We're in it together. So I think that's definitely been the number one foundation. But the thing that I've realized over my career is that we're always going to have some level of competition, and competition is good, right? I mean, we wouldn't be in this job if we didn't realize that, right? But there's also something so important in realizing that, like, if you're working together, if you're working towards a common goal, 4 legs are better than 2, 4 arms are better than 2, 4 eyes are better. If you're working together and collectively doing something, and you know this with sports on a team, right? Like it's just a given that if you can work together you can establish so mumuch more. And in my opinion, and this is just mine, it's so much more rewarding because you're doing it together. You're not just doing it by yourself, you know?
It's so interesting you say this. I mean, we talk about team, and I'm a big team guy, a big believer in it. I've got great friends in the military that talk a lot about teams, two of which I've done podcast recordings and plan to launch those very shortly. One of the things actually this morning, and this is just like this LinkedIn has just kind of consumed a lot and become such a beacon for sharing ideas and perspectives. Dr. Corey Callandine is an orthopedic surgeon. He posted about, the lion is king because he's hungry. The cheetah is faster. The elephant is bigger, but the lion is king. What are your thoughts? And so, I just thought about it and I've never really vocalized this, Traci, but I'm interested in you, like, what's your spirit animal? Because mine is the wolf, because the wolf pack is the mentality that you talked about, the team. They're premier hunters, right? But they're also hunted. They can live anywhere. Wolves are nomadic, right? They're built for travel. They're also very intelligent and they can adapt to the environment. And then the other couple of pieces about the wolf that I like is that they're misunderstood, right? People think that they're predators, but they actually can get along with people really, really well. And everybody out there that loves dogs, dogs come from wolves, right? They're canine. And so, I think the last thing, they communicate very effectively in work in the team. And then they thrive in that pack or in that just dominant hierarchy. So there is an alpha, there is kind of like a pecking order. And that just, for me,
sums it up.
Makes sense. And that's why I love the wolf. And there's some really good songs like Hungry Like the Wolf or Built by the Wolf, Raised by the Wolves, like with Post Malone. I love wolves. Sorry.
Yeah. I think yes, I love it. I think that
what's your spirit animal?
I think that sums it up. Gosh, you put me on the spot there.
I know. I do a wild card, not intentionally, but every once in a while, this literally happened this morning. Here we are. And I think
that is so great. I don't know. I'd have to really think about that. I mean, I think you definitely nailed it on the head. I mean, it is something of, when you were talking about that, another animal that I think about that's just amazes me every time we see them when we go to the zoo are just elephants, elephants. Oh my gosh. I think, like I said, you summed it up. It has everything to do with there's going to be a pecking order. There's going to be a leadership. There's going to be, right. And we understand that, but it still comes down to the pack, that working together,
and everybody has their role and everybody knows. And again, back to the analogy of in the room, in that ecosystem of the OR, right? The specific room that you're in, that patient on the table. There are roles, right? There's the surgeon, the alpha, but then there's also people that can ebb and flow in terms of their piece of that specific surgery. So sometimes it's anesthesia, and they are the most important person in that room, right? Outside of the patient. And then it's the rad tech. It's getting that shot where you have clear imaging that you can then work from. Sometimes it's us. Sometimes it's industry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what do you like? So, and then, or sometimes it's the scrub tech, such an critical piece to the whole pie in the whole surgery. Again, it's a symphony. And you mentioned that orchestra.
Yep.
It is people passing instruments. You're not in a hurry, but you're efficient in your movements. And there's specific reasons for why you do what you do. And I think the reason, sorry to talk too much, I'm just so excited. The reason you're so good. And one of the things that I love about you, Traci, is that you understand implicitly down to the degree of every single step that's happening in that procedure. And you can respectfully assert yourself and give feedback or questions or suggestions during that multi-step process. And that's value. And the surgeons know it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think that goes back to what I said of really, I mean, look, it's been, almost 14 amazing years with Medtronic. And, I had that's 4 awesome. with DePuy before that. So, I mean, on this side, and then coupled with the, being a surgical assistant for so many years, over time, it has just become one of those things for me that is just so rewarding to just watch everybody, watch what they do, watch learn everything. So like you said, just, I'm not a radiologist, I'm not a rad tech, but I'm sure watching what they're doing, I'm understanding how they need to wag here and how they need to angle. And so how you need the spinous process. And because you know, as well as I know, that sometimes 5 o'clock, you get a brand new rad tech,
Right.
and they don't know like, oh, which lever moves this. And you can just like, hey, I think it's this one, just kind of like help out,
Yeah.
And so it's just little things like that of like watching every little thing that's happening is just fascinating to me. And I love, still to this day, it's honestly one of the things I love about my job. I love being in that environment. It is so, in my world, it's rewarding, but you and I can both say there's some folks that have been in this and they're like, yeah, this is not for me.
Yep.
Cannot do
this. It's not for everybody.
Yeah. So
but you're a sultan of spine. That's why you're on this show. That's why I love you. And that's why we've always had a great relationship. Even when we competed together, there's a mutual respect.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
And you bring such value to the room. And so if I'm a surgeon or if I'm a nurse, and I see you in that room, it's like, if you watch Cesar Millan, he talks about those dogs that are crazy. As soon as they relax, right? You provide that relaxation and the ability for a surgeon to take on tough pathologies, right? Because they know you've got their six. They know that you're there, and that's value. And you've done, 18 years. Plus
I appreciate that. And look, I will say that one of the other things that I feel is so valuable, and I tell even my own kids, like, learn from your failures. I have made a lot of mistakes. Okay, I have made a lot of them. And I don't regret them because I learned something from them,
Right.
I believe in not having regrets if I learned something from it. So I take all those failures and all those things that I did wrong and make sure I learn how to improve and correct them. Right. And I think that is something that in our industry in itself provides such value. How many times do you go in or they'll be like, oh, we're just going to do an L4-5 fusion. No T-lift. No. And you don't have a T-lift cage and they change their mind, totally. Little things like that. You got to be prepared. You got to plan. Mistake happened once and it won't happen again. I know you said no cage, but I'm gonna have a cage,
I'll still, 100%. We're cut from the same cloth in that regard. Right. Like it's always about that, because I will never forget, we were supposed to do an MIST lift. Mm-hmm. Or no, it's the other way around. I was supposed to do an A-lift. And then they switched to an MIST lift. One of the other, just a completely different procedure. I think it was because of the hip, the pubis, right? And so, but it was just like, I think I just luckily and randomly had something clean and sterile, and just probably because I hadn't gotten to tearing it down and singing it out. Yeah. That's what a lot of people that don't do this, they don't understand all the complications. I shouldn't say complications. They don't understand all the logistical challenges that go into putting on a surgery, right? It doesn't just start and end with the patient and their insurance and all the stuff that has to go on for them, their surgery to be scheduled. It also has a lot to do with the behind the scenes work, the surgeon and the staff. There's physical therapy that happens. There's all sorts of things that happen, for that patient. And then on our end, right, there's so much work. How much of your day or the week would you say is still dedicated to logistics?
Oh gosh. It's every day. It's every day. Every day you're dealing with it. And that's one of the things that it's not always pleasant, right? But that's just part of the job. Like every day you're going to be a part of that, right? You're going to be in an OR where it's like, oh my gosh, somebody has an emergency, needs this set. Okay, well, hold on, I'm using this set. So you got to wait till it gets out of the wash and then we'll ship it over here. And it's always something, Yeah. And here's the one thing that I will say is in this industry with logistics and commenting that that's probably all of our least favorite things, right, about the job. It still carries so much value in the sense that we are all dealing with logistics issues. We're all dealing with inventory issues. We're all dealing with not being able to have all the sets you need all the time. And so we have to share and we have to borrow. And in my mind, if I have a set that I know I don't need and that I know I don't need for the following day and somebody else needs it, it's going out, because I know that that's going to happen to me. I know that I'm going to need that. I'm going to end up asking somebody else, please, 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 after your busy day, stay and get that washed and send it to me. You know, all these little things go so far in like that kind of, call it karma, call it universal, like what comes back, what goes around comes around. And so that's one of the things that as a rep, when it comes down to logistics, I think we all need to remember so that we can kind of help one another a little more, you know?
100%. So I know we only have a little bit of time. So I want to get to a couple more questions that, you know, I wanted to ask your story, dig deep into your why. I think that that's one of the most important things. And maybe one of the 4 reasons why I'm doing this podcast is it's great to have followers on LinkedIn. It's great to have like a platform, if you will. But I want to use this to shine light and spread the stories of others, because those people, you specifically, Traci, have had a major impact on me. And if there's the least that I can do is share your story, because it's one that needs to be told. So let's dive there, like your why and wherever you want to.
Yeah. So, I mean, my why, I mean, first and foremost is my family. I could not be doing this grind and this grit and this sometimes just wear and tear you down if I didn't have my husband, my kids, my beautiful daughter, who's, my gosh, she's going to be 14, Jay.
I can't believe it.
And my son, who's about to be 11. I know, it's crazy. Remember me waddling around pregnant like it was yesterday? Yes. I know.
I absolutely do.
I know.
Those aforementioned trays, the logistics while pregnant. You know, I have a video while you're laughing. I'm gonna keep going. It's like when my sister starts laughing, I just kind of keep going on. I have a video of why people need to return their shopping carts. And I'll post this on LinkedIn at some point, because I've seen a mother of 4 with like these gremlins hanging off of her. She's got probably 2 baby Bjorns and then another 2 on her legs, like 80s weights on the legs. Yeah. She went and put her shopping cart back in the heat of Texas. And for those that have, I mean, if she can do it, anyone can do it. Like the people that don't put them back need to just change their ways now. So anyway, sorry, that's a little preview of maybe a Friday cartoon supposed to come.
I am so with you on that. I always love when you do those shopping cart posts, because I'm like, seriously, I'm right there with you. So yeah, for sure. That's first and foremost my why. I mean, my husband is hands down the best thing that's ever happened to me, and been so helpful and just been my advocate, you know, like he's just always in my corner. So first and foremost. And then second, Jay, is like, I love what I do. Absolutely love serving others. I love being in the OR. I love being a part of what we do. I absolutely love Medtronic, the organization, leadership. I mean, you know, I used to joke with you, like when you coming back to Big Blue, you can't stay.
I came back. I recognized, you know, no place like home.
It's a great organization, good team, such a rewarding job, you know, and I think that, like I told you earlier, I learned a very valuable lesson in my life that money is not everything. It's happiness. And so I am so happy and love what I do. And, you know, second to my family as my number one why, that's my second why. I love this industry. I love where we're going, what we're doing. I mean, it's so
exciting. Where are we going?
And I still learn something new every day, you know? I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing how robotics pans out for us within Medtronic. It's such an exciting area. Challenging one for sure, but I mean, different. What we do, you know?
You know, I had time to spend with Dr. Greg Poulter up in Indianapolis a couple of weeks back, first part of this month. And, you know, just saw like just such a symphony, back to that word of just when everything works together. Seeing him dictation room where he took us through his preoperative plan, you know, talking about specifically the pathology, the patient that we were treating, a 3-level, multi-level OLIF, and then a robotic assisted, you know, pedicle screw placement. And just understanding, you know, from the jump, before we ever draped or cut skin, understanding, all right, this patient needs 36 degrees, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she had 11.
Yeah.
And also what I think the most interesting thing about that, which really speaks to the power of robotics, when you put it all together with the surgeon's, you know, hands and their skill set, his or her skill set, is he had planned to get quite a bit of reduction with the interbody, and the spondy wasn't mobile.
Yeah.
So he basically just took what he was going to get. He wasn't going to, you know, damage the implates and risk subsidence, because that's a whole nother challenge.
Right.
And so he took what he could get, and then realized that he has another opportunity posteriorly to do some correction with some fulcrum on the rod, and you understand this, and got it to the exact degree, 36 degrees, measured just as the plan was. And just the way that all worked together, to see it ebb and flow, because it's right now, it's predictable with the plan, and it can be harmonious in the room. But I think the magic is when you got to realize that there's still a science, there's a science piece, but there's still the art to surgery. Right. And that's where I think maybe some deviation is occurring today, is in that surgical piece. You know, some people they think of robotic surgery and they think, oh, I'm just going to kind of program it and it's just going to do it. And it's not really the case today. It's more of a tool to help. In my estimation, the way my simple mind grasps it, it's a robotic assisted surgery today. Tomorrow, I don't know. You know, I've seen what they're doing in GI and in general surgery, right, with the Hugo and the Da Vinci, which is a lot more mature market than ours. But anyway, it's interesting. You've been in those rooms and you've seen some of the robotic stuff. You know, some go good, some don't. But what are your thoughts on what do we need to do?
We have to evolve, right? Like that ball's rolling, that train's going. I mean, it's not going anywhere. So we have to evolve. And I think, you know, getting on and learning on the front end is going to be so beneficial. You know, the other thing that I'm kind of excited about too is like the AI aspect, the predictive analytics of it, right? Like you and I both know, like, I mean, how much have we grown and evolved and learned in 5 years, right? Or let's even say 10 years. Like
3 years. Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Right? And so if you can start collecting that data and minimize like junctional kyphosis or minimize like some of these things that we see over time are happening with certain patient pathologies. It's not everyone, it's not every surgeon. I mean, but to be able to collect that data while we're evolving, I think is going to be so critical to bettering outcomes. You know what I mean? So I'm excited 100%. About that, you know?
Yeah. And you think about machine learning, right? Let's just think about it in our environment. When you go into a search, it's like, did you mean this? Or if you like a song on a playlist, you like it, you give it a thumbs up, then they're going to play more songs from that artist or in that genre. What I see it as, and you hear Dr. Joe Osorio, right, in San Diego talk about this a lot with his Medicrea and the UNID platform, right? And so what Dr. Osorio says is the hub engineers and the UNID technology, it's getting smarter as they learn what it does in his hands, and they understand like how much correction he's going to get out of these procedures. Right, being able to dial up and know what a PSO is going to do for you before you even cut skin, it's unbelievable.
So absolutely, it's incredible. It's mind blowing, really, when you think about it. I mean, it's mind blowing. But you're right. I mean, we use this stuff every day in our day to day lives. I mean, something as simple as like using Waze or Google Maps, right? Like certain routes we take every day, and it's like, oh gosh, there's traffic. Which way can I go now? And it's giving you and directing you all these new ways and learning ways that you can go to and from your typical routes, right? Like
100%.
I mean, we use it every day. And I think that is so key to bettering patient outcomes, you know?
It is. And what's interesting, Traci, I mean, I'm sure you have friends that are outside the industry, your family members, right? And whenever I describe to them kind of what we do, and, you know, I think recently some of this is starting to trickle into my talk track about what we do. And what's interesting about their reaction, honestly, almost every one of them, wait, that doesn't exist today.
I know.
Like they don't have a plan going into their surgery.
I know.
And I think, I mean, we've grown up, you longer than I, but I've grown up, you know, over a dozen years doing this. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's a great question. It should exist. And, you know, every time a pilot flies the plane, you're using robotic. It's, you know,
it's
you're
long
using
overdue,
AI, you're
for
using,
sure.
yeah.
So, but I do think that, you know, it's not as much as like they don't have a plan, right? They do.
No,
but what I mean is like the plan that, you know, it's amazing to me sometimes, like when you go and you'd see, like, let's just take it back to when navigation first came out, right?
Right.
And you'd see surgeons that, oh, I don't need that. I don't need that. Don't want it. It's going to slow me down. Like I can place pedicle screws all day long, no problem, right? And they can. Right. But then you bring them this technology and they start seeing like, yeah, that anatomy is definitely different than what I had expected. So I'm going to have to redirect it this way. I mean, just something as simple as that goes and change their thoughts of what their plan was. And now as they're evolving, they're like, I might use it. And now some of these surgeons use it all the time, you know? So it's little things like if it wasn't in their plan initially, that's not their workflow initially. But you start adding these little tools into their workflow, their plan, as well as patient outcomes evolve and get better, you know? So it's just tools. You gotta have more tools in your tool bag, you know? So.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good way to look at it. You know, you've embraced new technology. You've always been, you know, one of those that likes to dive right in. And is that something that you see in this one? Like you just want to get your hands on it, you want to learn it so that you can
for sure
communicate.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the one thing that, you know, when robotics first came out and we were doing robotic cases and, you know, here in Austin, it really was, we were learning literally together. Like we were just all learning this early on. And so to see where it's evolved and how, you know, where it's going makes it even more exciting. But, you know, it is one of those things that you have to realize you can't just dive into something like that. You got to do your homework. You got to do some legwork, you know?
It was always interesting with OLIF, right? You know, when we'd have these discussions with lateral surgeons or with any surgeons, and it's like, we was trying to tell them about the evolution of the lateral procedure. And so, you know, if a certain surgeon from Brazil would have come up with the OLIF procedure, you know, there's no way they would have gone through the muscle. I'm convinced of that. I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure like avoiding a major muscle like the psoas is a big thing. And there's ways to do it. You're right, in and out and shutting the retractor down and less time under tension. And I get it. I've been in thousands of those cases, but I'm here to say that anterior to the psoas is the way. So when I'm talking to surgeons about this, that have already adopted that workflow of trans psoas, and they're like, okay, yeah, I'll give you this just crazy anatomy, awful pathology. It's a hard lift, whatever lift it is. T-lift, O-lift, A-lift, X-lift. It's a tough lift. It's like, hey, doc, you know, this is going to go bad regardless. So why don't we do a chip shot here? You know, don't give me the shot in the, you know, when you're buried in the rough where it's going to be difficult to hit regardless of what club you select. Let's go for the bread and butter that you have a sense that it's going to go okay and predictable. And then you're comparing apples to apples. And so, you know, for the surgeons out there, maybe the three of them that watch this, or maybe there's more. I think it's more. You know, give a shot. If you're trying new technology, and this is not just OLIF talk, you know, it's just one example. If you're trying robotics, if you're trying Medicrea, if you're trying Titan,
please don't do a T10 to the pelvis after your surgery.
I mean, why would you? It's like the analogy of it is like if you're trying something new that you really want to give it a fair shake, then just do it in a controlled environment where the variables and the risk is less. And so I think we've learned that along the way as the techniques evolved, as the adoption has risen, and as the ability to really truly understand the solution that we have where you combine, you know, multi-level OLIF with robotic, like I saw Dr. Poulter do, with a robotic assisted planned screw placement. It's really, truly powerful. And it's to the point where I know a lot of doctors and I have a lot of good friends that are doctors, but I'm pretty sure if I need care or if my wife needs care, we'll be heading up to Indianapolis. I mean, that's how convincing it was I just saw.
Yeah.
It's the most recent example. So there's
But
some bias.
It's interesting you say that, and I laugh because it's so true when it's, whether it's robotics or navigation. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'm like, selling that synergy, right? Like trying to get somebody that's never done navigation to just try it, right? And then they give you a C1, C2 navigated posterior fusion, and you're like, that was not at all where we should start. Like, even if we've done hundreds of navigated cases, the C1, C2 posteriors is challenging,
I think, it's tough. The surgeons, though, as we know, and I know, they're creatures of habit for a reason. It mitigates the risk. And so the less variables that they can change, the better. So I think if they're going to look at something that's different anyway, so this is kind of where I've come to metabolize this scenario. If they're going to look at this case, this is going to be difficult. It's going to be, a goat rodeo in there. I might as well try this new OLIF thing as well. It's, like, I guess, look, I don't have to carry, I have the luxury of not having to carry the burden of the patient and their family in my hands. I'm not a surgeon. And so it's never been our call. We just kind of can give some suggestions as to what, works the best. And, I think if you do that respectfully, with tact and with care and with love, then that's our job as an intraoperative consultant.
Yep, absolutely. I totally agree. And that's the thing. I mean, that's one of the rewarding things too, is when you get to that point and you give your recommendations and you're trusted and they value you because they see what you can do and how you can help. It's so rewarding when you provide a solution that they never would have considered, and then they consider it because you recommended it and you're giving your expertise, and it goes great. There's nothing better,
You're driving home that day and you got the music going. I don't know about you, but I like the windows, all of them down on the drive home to decompress. You're freezing because the OR is cold. You got the windows down and it's just that time where you reflect. That's the OR is a drug. Let's be honest. It's a drug. I'm still going through withdrawal from not being there every day, but it's a drug. And because of what you just said, there's something extremely fulfilling and almost like a high of what you're doing and what we get to do. And how special and how much of a gift that it is.
And absolutely. But, understanding that it takes so much persistence and tenacity and consistency and patience. And understanding that some days are going to be rough and they're not going to go
years.
But years, yes. But you get up, you dust it off, you try again, and you improve. And in my opinion, there's nothing better in a career that you can just continue to be in. And that's just what you have to deal with every day. And like you said, on the way home, you sort of decompress, you sort of evaluate how the day went, what you liked, what you didn't like, how you could improve, what you did that they liked, and how you can evolve together. It's such a relationship that, look, I hope I retire with Medtronic, but I absolutely love it. Love it. So
one final question. Do you have time for one more?
Yeah.
Do you have time for one more? Okay. Yeah. I do have a call here in 15 minutes. So let's try to get this in. I think we'll be good. Work-life balance. It's kind of like a topic that you hear it a lot.
Yeah.
But what is it to you and how do you focus on it? You mentioned your family is your why. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
But we are in an industry that patient on the table is the priority, right? How do you manage as a mom, as a busy mom, and in a very good intraoperative spine consultant, right? A sultan, if you will. How do you manage that?
It's a really good question, right? I think first and foremost, you have to realize that the balance could change from one day to the next, right? You can't define what balance is going to be in this line of work, okay? In my mind, one day my balance is here, the next day my balance is here. And I get in that mindset of knowing and this has taken years, by the way, it's taken years
Yeah.
because in the beginning it was very, very rough. As a mom, going back to work, I think my first pregnancy, I took 6 weeks off, and then the second was 8. I mean, it was like, bam, right back to work, right?
2 days for me. It's a sore subject.
So it is understanding and getting in that mindset of what this job entails, number one. And number two, just, thankfully having the support system of my husband that, in the very beginning had to say, in that mindset frame, right? Like every day, imagine that you have a new pie, and each pie, some is going to be carved out. The majority of it might be carved out for work, and some carved out for us and the kids. And then the next day you might have more carved out. And that's what I mean, is that like realizing the balance changes from one day to the next, right? And get yourself in a good mindset to where, you know what, tomorrow find some better time, right? Like, because we can get so consumed in this to sometimes I come home and my husband's like, I don't think you need to be checking emails right before we sit at the dinner table, take a break, decompress. Let's all talk about our day. Let's have dinner, tuck the kids in, then go to your emails, helping me to really balance that of like, you know what, you're right. Cause my mind can go and I could work nonstop in this,
I know. So it's really tough to put it down.
You have to train yourself. And I think first and foremost is realizing that, some days are more of a balance than others, but again, it goes back to like, if you love what you do, you'll find ways to balance it. You'll find ways to balance it and stay happy and positive. And so that's
well said. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that, because your perspective on this is important, right? I mean, the last couple of women in this industry that I've had on, both Monty and Melanie, different stages of their career, but I think that the work-life balance, for me is different from, those that like Monty and yourself that have had kids.
Yeah.
Like that's that's a whole nother balance in and of itself.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But, one that I will say, again, like we say, this is not for everybody, and to include, not for every woman, right. Who wants to be in this med tech or in this role. But for those that are or want to get in here, understanding that it's not always going to be as conducive as you would like to family life, but if you love it, that to me is so important to show my kids of like, there's days that it's like, really, you got to go to work. You're on call for Christmas. Yes, I do. I got to go to work, but you know what? I love what I do. And I do this for you. I do this to help provide, so it teaches kids also that, what, it takes grit, it's not always going to be easy, and I'm not always going to be here, but I love what I do, and I love to be able to provide for them doing what I do,
That's it.
So that positive affirmation, Jay, positive.
I love that. What we will close on that, unless I'm going to try to get, I'm evolving myself. Do you have any questions for me? Is there anything I can answer, anything that you'd like to ask, or that's, you can just anything at all before we close this puppy down?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, like I know you did a couple of podcasts, and like, I could see as your journey was evolving and really just connecting people, and it's absolutely your niche. You are a connector for sure. So like, what made you decide to just dig deep and go into this? I mean, I love it.
Well, first of all, nobody's really doing a podcast.
Yeah.
It's the most crowded space right now. No, I think it was a couple of different things. Before I was ever a guest on either of those shows, I had this kind of already in my moleskin sketched out and ready to go. I had the name picked out, right? The Sultans is something that's, and it's going to evolve, right? We're going to do different types of Sultans. But I'm a Sultan of Spine, and so are you, and this is our world. So for me, it's been, part of my journey has always been about connecting with others and learning from others, right? You specifically, Traci, one of the reasons I reached out to you to be on this show, and also the reason why I'm excited that we did this, is because you have been instrumental and foundational to me and my success and my growth. And so the way I approach this, and kind of my why for doing this, is I'm just one person, and I'm a combination and a blend and a culmination of a lot of different, really, really great and smart people like you.
Oh,
and
you.
So I want to share that. I want to share the people that have helped me, get to this stage of my career and beyond, because it's a team. Back to the wolf pack. You're part of my wolf pack. We work together in the trenches, right? And we've shared a lot of good, positive things, and we continue to working together, right? Different capacities, but we're still working on the same team. And so, like, the podcast for me, I may have my thoughts and calls and my opinions on things, but I mean, just as you referenced, Toby and Monty and others that I've had the pleasure to record but have yet to launch, they have all shared a different viewpoint, perspective, and I think that that's enlightening. And so, just like I'm reading a lot more books now, I feel like this is a good use of the 45 minutes for me. Every single episode has been an organic and great experience for me. And I've learned something about it that I can then take away, right, and jot down in my moleskin, right?
Yeah, it's so funny you do that. I've got mine right here. I got my book right here.
Oh my gosh.
I know, I love it.
But that's just what we do. That's who we are. And so, like, for me, the podcast just allows me to reach maybe other people at scale. And maybe I can convince someone else that Medtronic is a great place to work, right? That's kind of the genesis behind it. One of the genesis behind it. But at the same time, regardless, it's valuable to me. It's valuable I feel, for others. And I'm getting affirmations and positive reinforcement to keep going. So I'm going to keep going, and we'll see what this thing goes.
I love it, Jay. I love it. I love not only, those of us that know you absolutely know you are a connector, but I love that. I think, getting more perspectives on what we do and how we do what we do is going to hopefully not just reach people that should be in this industry, but that we need in this industry more of, so to gain that perspective is so important. So, I'm so honored, and thank you, Jay. I mean, feel you're doing what you absolutely need to be doing. And I'm happy for you.
That means a lot, especially coming from you. You're one of my rocks. You're one of the people that have really, really, truly lifted me.
I like your Louisville Sluggers behind you.
Yeah. Those, do I need to explain what they are? I don't know. No, I won't. They were big months for me. And,
well, thanks again, Jay. I really appreciate the time. I know you got another call. So, much love to you and your family. And
likewise, I hope you have a great summer, and thank you again for your service. And thank you again for not just in the U.S. Army, but for Medtronic and for this whole industry and what you do every single day to help the surgeons, to help the nurses, to help the scrub techs, the rad techs, anyone in that room and anyone that's there observing you, even some of our junior associates in clinical.
I love them all. They're my people.
You are a light. You are a light.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay. To be celebrated.
Thank
you for the time.
Thank you. Absolutely. Bye, guys.
Right. We'll see you. Thank you for joining the Sultans of Spine. Tune in every Tuesday at 7 a.m. Central. We'll see you next time.
See you, Jay.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.